Yeah. So I was asking, what do you think about AI in India? The way we are perceiving AI or working on AI, the focus as compared to other countries, and because you come from a deep research background and having worked across countries, how is India faring in comparison to other countries? And has India understood what is AI, or is it predominantly a marketing hype?
It's a very complex question, but thanks for bringing it up. Just telling my friends that I visited Bangalore, and so Ajit Bhai is running a virtual reality company, and it goes into a theme of Pingala Institute and also my research group, Transitional AI Research Group at UNSW. We are going to collaborate on some projects. So basically, the thing with AI, India, and rest of the world, Australia, what are we doing? Where are we? So my PhD was in AI, and this was graduated 2012, and so all of my life, mostly academic career, AI. Now I'm doing more applied work, and also model development.
Right.
So AI hype is not just in India; it's all around the world, right? I mean, say in Australia, Fiji is more less, but Australia, US, everywhere there's a startup popping with the term AI, right? And people do not know what AI is.
Exactly.
So, and how it's gonna solve the world's problem. But I think AI is more, the way I see it, it's kind of a ICT 2.0. So the ICT is there, the infrastructure is there, and 2.0 is the AI where we are just trying to make ICT more smart and trying to solve some of the world's problems, right? And but it's going to be a gradual thing, and probably all that debate about is AI going to replace your work, this and that is going on. But at the end of the day, we have to see that AI without robotics will not really have such a huge impact. So that's what I am excited about is more that I think that the companies such as the top companies, Apple, Samsung and others, they have not really done much in that space of robotics that they could have done. We are really behind in robotics. So the more investment has gone into AI, the software.
Correct.
But I think we are at the right space that the robotics research is going ahead. We have like big companies such as Boston Dynamics and others. You see humanoid robots working all around. So with the robotics research, let's say that we have the AI driven robots, humanoid robots that basically look like humans, who are going to help us with our day-to-day tasks. So it's going to really help the disabled community. It's going to help, we do not, so I've been traveling around India, and I feel it's very disheartening to see sometimes. We have like this whole thing the Indian government is doing, which is great, that you want the grassroots to have a job. But then you'll see like an old lady picking some bricks on the roadside and doing some work in her sari, and that looks very disheartening to me. So those kind of jobs could be taken more by the humanoid robots. So then the question is, then what would the old lady do? Right? I mean, who will pay? So that type of job scare is not there at the moment. So with any technology, we are going to have the ripple effects.
Correct.
Right? Negative or positive. And currently with AI, the AI hype, so the hype is kind of slowly coming down now, because it all started with more conversational AI or natural language processing. Otherwise, the field was not given this much of attention just last 3 or 4 years.
Exactly.
And then we have countries who we have like governments trying to fund their specific budgets, plans. We have Minister for AI, Minister for Technology used to be there. Now we have some countries even having a Minister for AI, government ministries, and that's all going in the right direction, I would say. And AI is something that's gonna basically gradually it is doing that, but it will go into a phenomenal level in different areas such as agriculture, construction, technology. When we'll have the humanoid robots and other intelligent devices taking over, so you'll see with the AI probably in the next 10 years or 15 years, Elon Musk's companies are there, Tesla is there, and others. But then you'll have companies such as Apple and others. The phone will be basically transforming into a humanoid robot at some point of time. Whereas that's going to be a need. And the scary part is that we are becoming a society that is becoming too developed and too individualistic as well. So we have transitioned from, so in India you have everything. You have like, you go to rural India, you go to sub-rural India, you are in 17th century, 18th century, and then you are in 22nd century in the tech area in Bangalore. And there's a vast difference in different communities in India. So AI, what we can say that currently you have like the auto rickshaw driver is using some sort of AI, some apps are there. Unknowingly we are using AI all the time. Like even if you're on social media companies are using AI to track us, to use our data. So even an auto rickshaw guy, when using a Ola, Uber app or social media, has access to AI. And then you could say that now there's a very simple beautification apps, like people putting a selfie, they want to look younger, and that is photo some ups and downs there, then it's fixed. AI apps are there to do that. So those small things are used in our daily lives. But it is the way in the last 5 years, it's not just AI. If you look at the case of India, I mean 5 or 7 years ago you barely had 200-300 million people connected to the internet. Now I think the latest stats are like 750 million people.
It's 940 million.
Okay, so see, I saw this last year.
1 billion by next month is what.
So 940 million people connected to the Indian internet, and I think China has a bit over 1 billion. So this is massive. So that's not just AI. The thing is, it's more basic ICT infrastructure, and AI is coming on top of it. And that thing is like, it's kind of going to help a lot, especially the grassroots population, and it is still helping. You people have a voice. There's corruption, there's all these things that were kind of there because information was not freely shared. Now somebody is abused, something happens, we see that people are taking a phone, putting it out on social media. So AI is just a step ahead. But now we're going back to your original question about what is the Indian government doing about it. I think the Indian government has really missed a lot of opportunities in the whole ICT field. I think you would agree with me.
Absolutely.
Firstly, the Indian government, if you compare with the Chinese government, has really missed in the investment and the development of their own apps. And it's too heavily reliant on American apps, software. And this is really alarming because if you can see, US used to be a big brother helping out democracies out there, but it's not that country anymore. You cannot depend on US.
Correct.
Tomorrow US could say, all the WhatsApp information, Indian military is using WhatsApp, they could get access to it.
Correct.
So there's no point, firstly, in the security personnels in India to communicate using WhatsApp or any of the American apps when the Indian government can develop their own. I don't know if they are doing it.
Absolutely.
What do the military use to communicate here? Maybe they have their own
So
secure connection.
They have their own NIC kind of a thing.
Yeah.
NIC,
Yeah, but that's like when they're doing official, right? But then
No, they are
security is about unofficial and unofficial and official, right?
Absolutely.
Personal and your
No, apps they are using still whatever apps are there.
yeah, whatever apps are there. So
There is an exposure.
yeah, and you do not know what's going on. And with AI being there going on another level, then mining of information. So one is the security, the other is the investment in the private firms. What is the point? So the AI revolution began with the paper transformer. Paper attention is all you need. I think this was what 2016, 2017, and then Google developed the BART model using the first author, the main guy of the transformer paper is Viswani, and he did his PhD in US, something like that, but he did his undergrad and masters. He's from Bihar, right? So, and Donald Trump is saying, US has made AI. But who are the people who have contributed to the leading AI project that made ChatGPT GPT-4? They say Indian scientists basically. And they are in that paper about 10-15 people there, and they are from all around the world. To call AI as American invention is totally insane. So the question mark comes, if the Indians and Chinese are contributing so much to the tech in US, in Silicon Valley, what's happening here? Right? So that's a big question mark, because if you have a guy who's living from India going to there and developing such technology, why can't the Indian PhD and postdocs do it here? What is lacking here? What space is lacking here? So it's more of the research culture that is lacking here.
Right.
One is like we have to get out of this mentality of this 9 to. So I have a lot of interns working from the IITs. I work with them. One thing that I realize is they are just overworked. They have this whole 8:30 to 5 p.m. of whole day of lectures. It's like an extended high school.
Oh my God.
So there's less time for creative thinking in the IITs. It's more of the project work is not that encouraged. Now the pressure is there. Last couple of years, it's getting there, but it will take a while.
Right.
So in that space, I think so. First is Indian government has really missed the ICT 1.0 development of the basic apps and infrastructure. So you have like during COVID this one of these Kuo talk or one of those something similar to something similar to Twitter came about, and it was fantastic. It was like supporting multiple regional languages, everything, but the government did not really take I mean, some of the ministers say, okay, we use Kuo now. It became popular in some African countries, Brazil,
Nigeria, and all that.
but now it's kind of dying.
No, it's dead. It's gone.
It's gone.
Kuo is closed.
Kuo is closed. So that's a very sad
The founder
thing.
said we couldn't sustain.
Couldn't sustain. So if you have that means like you have a technology that's used. I mean, foreign technology, Twitter is being used by everybody here, but your Kuo is dead, right? And Kuo was actually better than Twitter. For India, it was much better. So some people say an academic, somebody who is a forward thinker should be against banning things, but I am all for banning things. I think China did a great work by banning American apps. And India should do the same, actually, if you really want your own local companies in your government to really have all the infrastructure. You should begin by banning some of those apps. Like just if you banned apps from China, you can just ban apps from US.
Right.
Either you ban or you have some sort of office here, or it's the similar thing. You have the Rafael deal and all these deals where the construction is happening in India. That's how you made a deal. And the Indian government has done nothing as such. The Indian government has done nothing as such to invest in companies or startups that are doing more work in humanoid robots, smart infrastructure development. We see that the Indian government has done stuff in, doing quite well in these BrahMos missiles. So the defense technology is there. But if you see the American defense technology, for a long time, AI in US, the AI projects, the basic face recognition, a lot of those data sets, all were DARPA defense related technologies. So the defense goes well with technology that's evolving and coming soon. And I think the Indian government really needs to look at the AI side of defense. So I mean, they are doing it by going to Israel now and saying, okay, or can we have some of that defense technology? See, the good thing about AI, which is that there's a lot of tools, technologies there which is open source. So it's something, and you already have things that are already developed in the country, like Coup, when it comes to communication. Well, that can be very easily extended to something like WhatsApp for communication, Coup. And it can go beyond. You don't need to messenger on WhatsApp in the country. You don't need Facebook in the country, right? So you need your own stuff and empower and implement the national education policy of multiple regional languages, and the apps are supporting those things. So there could be bans, there could be restrictions if you really want AI to really come about, and ICT 3.0 to really, for India to really drive that. And all of these things kind of can happen also with one of the things that I complain about is I visited the top IIT universities. I see there's so much of infrastructure. Like if you look at the infrastructure in IIT Guwahati, IIT Bangalore, IIT Mumbai. I mean, IIT Mumbai is like what, 400 ICA campus, Guwahati as well, and Chennai is a couple of hundred. IIT Madras, and they have only 10-12,000 students. If you compare with UNSW, University of Sydney, we are going almost 70,000 students now, and now we don't have that much of a huge campus infrastructure. So one of the things is that if you look at if the government does some research, the big chunk of students leaving India going overseas, a lot of them are going because they could not make to the IITs or the other top Indian universities, or the Pilani, BITS and others. And they were not in the top 10,000 students, and they were slowly lower. And they could take loans, or they could take loans from their family or get funding from their family to go overseas and study. And it is not necessarily that the overseas education is better than the Indian education. Last 5 years I have worked with more than 50 students from IIT. I think the IITs are much better than our universities. I don't want to name them, but the undergraduate qualifications and the way the students are driven for research, and that's why I prefer students from India to work with them on research projects. Yeah. Because they're very hardworking, and also from China, those students who are really driven, The thing is that the government should basically have some ways in which they can increase the size of the IITs. We have moved from all this big lecture hall type of stuff. I mean, even in our lecture hall, we start with 500 students. First week, and the final week, 10th week, we'll have 50 students there. These lecture halls, this whole idea of universities making big lecture halls are not working out anymore. It was something working out in the 60s. We are at the age of ICTs. Probably we just need small tutorial rooms. We need more of those lecture halls to be probably converted into small spaces. And you have like 3 hours of lecture in a course. That would just be something done online. It's just a video recording, and then there's one-to-one tutor and student, like class of 20-30 students. Note that like for 12 years or 13 years, in Fiji we have year 13, students we are having a class of like 20-30 students, or around 30 students. And then you work in a university with 1,000 students in a lecture hall. What is this happening in the psychology of the students? You need some kind of drive, friendship, enjoyment in learning and teaching, and that's what you cannot have connections. And then a huge chunk of that money that the university is paying. I mean, IITs, there's every university has some amount of funding that they look at the student if it is free. So, like for example, our university, average fees for our international students is 50,000 Australian dollars. So you do a 2-year master's program is 100,000 Australian dollars. That's a lot of money. Not just for foreign, but for Australians too. There's a lot of money. There are a number of our local programs. They are like 30,000, 35,000 Australian dollars, like a master's of data science. So the thing is that chunk of money, a huge part of that money is going because those universities have invested billions of dollars in developing the infrastructure. That empty lecture hall, it's part of the fees that the students are paying, right?
And how is the research infrastructure there compared to what we have in India?
I think there's research infrastructure in the Australian universities versus India. Probably India has better in the sense because you have a bigger industry here. We don't make a defense technology in Australia. We don't have car manufacturing. We don't have aircraft, jet engine manufacturing. A lot of these things, right? So there are a lot of programs and also space, which ISRO is there. A lot of programs in Australian universities are, Australian universities, 5 or 6 of them are ranked in the top 100 in the world, and there's no Indian university there.
I know.
Right? But you'll see this type of ranking process, it's not really open, right? The data is kind of really here, there. So we are doing also some research like that. There's a lot of double dipping, meaning you have double affiliations of academics and students, collaboration, and you, of course, like INU has such a strong collaboration with Caltech. So a lot of their papers are published, their names are there when it's cited. Right. So all this ranking has this heavily citation based, i.e. then there's heavy emphasis to international faculty and international students. Those things kind of lack in China, Japan, and India, and also in some of the European countries. Like I've been to Italy, the university there is fantastic in Rome. It's huge, they do great stuff, but it's not ranked in, it's really not ranked that high. Whereas you go to US, you go to Stanford, you go to UC Berkeley, the infrastructure is very similar. But you are afraid that you are roaming around, getting out of the campus after 6 p.m., you might get shot. So there's fear in the student life in American campuses, outside of, it's not how it used to be, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so there's like all this to and fro, and I think India has in a time where there's great opportunity in investment in education, make Indian universities more international, and stop losing all the top students just because they did not do a rote learning exam, right? Creativity in PhD. I mean, if you look at ISRO, a lot of those guys or ladies in ISRO, the top scientists, they're not from IIT. They're from regular universities all around. So science doesn't mean that you are really the top in some exam. Science comes with a lot of creativity, a lot of passion, right? You have a lot of people in IITs, they don't end up in that area anymore. They do the management degree and they're off, right? So that whole thing of IIT is great. They're great students, they're great professors. I'm not against that, but I'm just saying that the others which are not ranked or seen as that prestigious are also great, and putting some metric out there about IITs, Stanford, Harvard, paying $100,000, selling your kidney to pay the tuition fees. I mean, I'm working with graduates from Harvard, from Cornell, graduates from Cornell. We are in a very similar space, but I'm from Fiji. Actually, I'm more senior to some of those people in research and other things, right? I'm from Fiji, from an unknown university, right? And I'm sitting in a school with scientists, academics, who are from the top universities in the world. And I don't really miss that I was not from there, actually, So, and I also do not discourage any students. Your education background, it's, see, the and also in my education, I think the university probably gave me 20 or 30% of what I know, or less.
Absolutely.
It was more of a culture of going there. You did undergraduate and all that. A lot of it was self-learning. And even if you're in Harvard, even if you're in Cornell, Stanford, all these guys who did this large language models, NLP research, a lot of those guys, it's not that they have a sophisticated AI program that you go there, you'll be the AI top leader, right? Universities are all evolving with AI.
Right.
And more of the traditional higher ranked universities, even in Australia, are quite behind in AI. We do not have a master's in artificial intelligence in any of the universities in Australia. Or maybe they're running it this year, but some of the leading Geo-8 universities do not have it. Right? We are still trying to catch up with the AI. There's so much of courses online by Google, YouTube channels and online learning. All that has not come to our university for generative AI, for the stuff that you are looking into virtual reality with AI. A lot of those things we're far behind. I would say AI education in Australian universities is 5 to 10 years backwards. It takes a while to propose courses. It takes a while to convince the faculty. Everybody has a funding problem. And it takes a while to really hire top AI people, right? And they go to the industry. The universities in Australia don't pay that much. The people who are there, like me, are there because we love AI research and we're very passionate for teaching. But if it is about money, I wouldn't be there. So this is some of the other things, right?
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Whereas in here, I think the universities, looking at the cost of living, are quite generous. You have like your own apartment in the campus. It's very comfortable. 10 minutes walk, you're in your office.
Absolutely.
If you're a professor in one of these IITs. Whereas ours, like, you are kind of struggling to buy a property. There's no campus accommodation. You have to go far to buy a property. You may travel 1.5 hours to and fro, 3 hours gone, because you can only afford that much.
Right.
And most of the academics in Australia is basically migrant workforce.
Absolutely.
At least 80%, I would say. Right. And also in US, just from the names, if you do a research paper, you'll see that because US Australian universities are all run by migrant students and migrant workforce, right? And it is hard for the migrants to establish themselves, especially the house prices are so high and all that. So there's a lot of to and fro.
Right. Interesting to know that India has got some kind of infrastructure that's slightly better than what the others are. Interesting. So
the IITs at least, like IIT Guwahati can have at least 50,000 students. All they just need to do is that you don't need the campus accommodation. You can live out of campus. That will drive a whole small suburbs around the campus. Also IIT Mumbai and others.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's anyway in Powai. IIT Bombay is in Powai. It is a suburb.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
It was designed as a suburb.
Yeah, the city is catching up.
Mumbai was exploding.
Yeah, exactly.
Excellent, man. So, what we are trying to do with VR, I'm not using virtual reality from AI.
Right.
So I have banned use of AI in my company.
Right.
No generative AI.
Right. Yeah, the generative AI content doesn't look that good.
Yeah, doesn't look good, and there is no Indic, semblance there.
And the Indic
elements are not
Hindu. If you ask,
elements are not there.
If you ask to generate AI art with Hindu elements, it doesn't look that good.
It doesn't look good. It looks very, made up.
Made up.
Made up is
color
not what we are into.
It's too bright.
Correct.